Hi all, let's speak out the topic regarding relevance of dividend policy in Indian market. First, we need to understand what is dividend. The term dividend refers to that the part of profits of a company which is distributed among its shareholders. It can be defined as the return that the shareholders get from the company out of its profit or his shareholding. It is a reward to the shareholders for investment made by them in the shares of the company. Dividend may be paid either in cash or in the form of shares of the company. According to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, dividend is a distribution to shareholders out of profit or reserve available to this purpose. Now we move to the meaning of dividend policy. Dividend policy refers to the policy that the management formulates in regarding to earning for distribution as dividend among shareholders. It is not merely concerned with dividend to be paid in 1 year, but is concerned with a continuous course of action to be followed over a period of several years. The, the term dividend policy refers to the policy concerning the quantum of profits to be distributed as dividend. The concept of dividend policy implies the company through their board of directors evolve a pattern of dividend payment which has bearing on future action. The dividend policy of a firm is of a crucial importance for the finance manager since it determines the amount of profit to be distributed among shareholders and the amount of profit to be retained in the business for financing its long term growth. The investors are interested in earning maximum return on their investment and to maximize their wealth. A company, on the other hand, needs to be provide funds to finance its long-term growth. If a company pay out dividend most of its earnings, then the company has to depend on outside resources such as issue of debentures or equity of shares for further expansion. Dividend policy thus affects the long-term financing and the wealth of shareholders. So a company's dividend decision should be in such a way as to get a reasonable return to its shareholders and to return the rest for its growth. Thus, a dividend policy has much implication on the financial prospects of the company. Then we move through the dividend policy in India. The main features of dividend policy in India are as follows. Most of the corporates have a policy of dividend for long run payout ratio. Dividend changes follow a shift in the long term sustainable earnings. Dividend policy as a residential decision after the meeting. The desired investment needs is endorsed by about 50% of the sample corporates. The corporate which are creating shareholder value significantly resent the dividend, increasing in the event of growth opportunities available to them. Large firms are considerably less willing to resent the dividend increases. Dividend policy provides a signaling mechanism of the future prospects of corporates and to that excite affects in market share. Investors have different relative risk perceptions of dividend income and capital gains are not indifferent between the receiving dividend income and capital gains. Management should be responsible to the shareholders' preferences regarding dividend and the share buyback program should not replace the dividend payment of corporates. Dividend payments provide a bonding mechanism so as to encourage the manager to act in the best interest of shareholders. The corporate enterprise of India seem to have a tendency to pay comparatively less dividend. In fact, large number of them hardly paid any dividend. The foreign controlled companies seem to follow a policy of larger distribution of profit related to the domestic company. Retained earnings are significant source of corporate finance. Majority of Indian corporates follow a stable dividend policy in the sense that they either constant dividend per share the following year with fluctuating EPS or increase dividend with increase in EPS. The vast majority of corporates have long-run targets in DIP ratio. The dividend charges follow shift in long-run sustainable earning. The dividend policy is in agreement with the findings of Linda's study on dividend policy. The firm which are creating the shareholders' value are significantly more willing to return dividend increasing in the event of growth opportunity available to them. Big firms are significantly less willing to return dividend increase than the small firms. These were the details regarding the dividend policy in Indian market. Then we move through the advantages of dividend policy. There are many advantages of dividend policy from the viewpoint of the shareholders as well as the company. Resolution of investors' uncertainty. When a company follows a policy of stable dividends, it will not change the amount of dividend if there are any momentary change in the earning. Thus, the earnings of a company fail and it continues to pay the same amount of dividend as in the past, it conveys to investors that the company is secure in future than suggested by drop in earnings. The next one is investors desire for current income. The investors who desire to receive a regular dividend income will prefer a company with a stable dividend to one with fluctuating dividends. Institutional investors requirement. Institutional investors the financial institutions like IFC, IDPI, LIC, and the UTI usually invest in the shares of those companies which have a record of paying regular dividend, raising additional finances. An established dividend policy is also beneficial to the company to raise external finances. Stable and the regular dividend policy tend to make the shares of a company an investment rather than a speculation. The loyalty finds the goodwill of shareholders towards the company increase with a stable dividend policy. These were the advantages of dividend policy. Next, we move to the disadvantages of stable dividend policy. There are many limitations of dividend policy. Stability of dividend has the following risk. Once a stable dividend policy is adopted, it cannot be changed without seriously affecting investors' attitude and the financial standing of the company. A cut in dividend is considered as cut in salary because of the serious depressing effort on investors due to dividend cut. The directors have to maintain constancy of dividend during the lean years, even though the financial prudence would specify removal of dividends or cut in each. To summarize, the dividend policy of a firm is a major aspect of corporate financial management. Basically, dividends signify the source of cash flow for stockholders and provide information about firm's performance. Important features of dividend theory is to determine the amount of earnings to be distributed to shareholders and the amount to be retained in the firm. Retained earnings are a significant internal source of financing and the growth of the firm. These were the details regarding the relevance of dividend policy in Indian market. Thank you all.